Avicularia,
Avicularia,
Avicularia metallica,
Avicularia.
Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the Avicularia, also known as the Pinktoe tarantula. This is a very common species that a lot of beginners get. They're very available, they're very inexpensive, and they're pretty simple to take care of. Or are they? Basically, there is a ton of confusing information, a lot of conflicting information on not only their care, but scientifically as well. It kind of seems like the entire genus is just a little bit of a mess. Now, I am a huge advocate of there is more than one right way to do something, and so I thought it would be a very interesting idea to just ask a couple creators about their Avicularia, about their care or their experience and closure, and then just kind of compare it all. Keep in mind that I did ask a lot of creators from literally around the world, and we already know that people in different areas of the world care for tarantulas differently. So let's just go ahead and see what they all have to say, and then I will kind of share my thoughts and also my Avicularia experience after everybody else. So I don't know, who should we start off with?
who ordered Avicularia in the wild footage? Maybe you did, so let's start. So in 2017, researchers from Brazil have revised the genus Avicularia. You know the changes from that publication, from where you call you Versi, now a Caribena versicolor, for example. But there was also the introduction of morphotypes, or morphs. Now morphs are neither species or subspecies, it's a taxonomically unidentifiable entity, meaning that there is no possibility to identify your Avicularia into one of the designated morphs when you can't be 100% certain of the locality of the original collector's locality of the Avicularia you got, which you almost never can with Avicularia specimens in the hobby. So enough systematic references. Throughout the past couple of years, we managed to document various Avicularia species in the wild, from Avicularia purpurea and Avicularia hirschi from Ecuador, to Avicularia yuruensis in Colombia, to the one and only Avicularia from Suriname. So the species Avicularia is very opportunistic and one of the few species of tarantulas who survives well in man-made habitats. So you see them inside and outside of buildings and other structures. They really don't seem to need a tree to live a happy life as long as the climate is okay. Preferably you still find them on living plants, bushes or trees, like in this example of an adult specimen living inside and between the palm leaves. So do not relabel your Avicularia into one of the morphotypes. This has nothing to do with the hobby specimens and you can't relabel them based on colors alone. So if you're interested to learn more about this, check out the US-based Arachnoculture magazine. You'll find a link to download in the description of the video. It's a free download for this free US-based journal. So as with other arboreal tarantulas, they are extremely good in active hunting of flying insects, meaning that they can and will jump onto flying insects to capture them. So you can easily lure them out as your plays with imitating the sound of said insects, like compressing an empty package of chips or anything. So just try it out and have some fun. So 2 minutes are over, I'm out of here, and thanks for having me on this fun collaboration.
Hey everybody, my name is Dion, or you may know me from my YouTube channel, Reptiliatus. Thank you, Kat, for having me join you in this exciting collaboration where we talk about Avicularia. So I've been keeping this species for a few years now, and they're really cool. I would say they're arguably one of the most sweet and gentle arboreal species you can keep, and I currently have one Pinktoe named Princess Fifi. She's my female that I've had for quite a few years. I've even had the pleasure of breeding her and producing slings in the past, and they're just an all-around awesome animal. What's interesting is Fifi actually just molted a little less than a week ago. Otherwise, I would have been happy to do a feeding video to show you guys, but I'm gonna insert a small clip of when she was younger a few years ago to mix it up and let you see how she eats. The Avicularia, her name is Princess Fifi. The Pinktoe tarantula. If anyone's gonna tongue feed, it's her. Oh, almost. There you go. Okay friends, so this is Fifi. I actually keep her as sort of my desktop pet, I call her. She did web up this side of the enclosure here, but I kind of gently tear it when I need to do maintenance, so I guess she still feels that it's closed off, but that's all good. But yeah, here she is. If you take a close look, you can see her there. She's still quite fresh. I would imagine that her fangs are now more of a reddish coloration. You can see the old molt is over here. And yeah, they're pretty easy species to keep. This tank has a few branches, some soil, her water dish is down here. There's also some live golden pothos in the enclosure, and she just kind of made her web hammock in there. What I like about the Exoteras is they have a decent amount of ventilation up top. One of the big things about this species that can make them a little trickier to keep as slings is that despite the fact they require a decent amount of humidity, they also need a decent amount of ventilation or airflow. So stagnant air is not good for these guys. So balancing it between not letting them dry out, but also making sure that they have constant fresh airflow is important, especially when they're little. They become a lot hardier as juveniles and adults. But anyways, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for including me, Kat. This was a lot of fun.
Hey everyone, Robbie from Robbies Talking Teas here. Huge shout out and thank you to Tarantula Kat for asking me to be part of this collaboration video. And to all you guys watching, I hope you're enjoying the content. Now the other day, me and Kat was talking and she asked me, Robbie, do you have Avicularia? I said, of course I do. What serious hobbyist doesn't have one in their collection? Now here's my Avicularia juvenile. It's arboreal setup. Now the enclosure is a very simple one. It's 4 inches by 8 inches and it's a vacuum packed food container because I like to keep the cost down. It contains substrate, sphagnum moss and a piece of cork bark leaned up on the side. And also, as you can see, it's got plenty of holes for cross ventilation, which is essential for Avicularia species. Now since I've got this, I've been in awe of the species. The things I love about these are their great temperament. They're not really quick to bolt when you're interacting with it, i.e. doing feed-ins and maintenance, and they're pretty chilled out. Now, the only thing I could think of, which I don't like about this species, is for such a stunning tarantula, they're very reclusive. Once they build their little home, you don't see them out too often. Those are the two only things I can really think about that stand out to me when asked this question. Hopefully you enjoyed my answer and I look forward to seeing everyone else's clips.
What's up? I am Richard from the Tarantula Collective, and thank you, Kat, for inviting me to be in this video. The Avicularia was the first arboreal tarantula I ever added to my collection. There's been a lot of issues over the years with people debating on exactly how to take care of them. For a long time, the humidity level inside the enclosure was the main focus, but we've learned over time that cross ventilation is much more important than the humidity. In fact, stagnant air is thought to be the main cause of sudden avic death syndrome. So it is important to house them in an enclosure that has good cross ventilation. Personally, I use acrylic enclosures or Exoterra tall enclosures. I use a large water dish placed at the bottom of the enclosure and provide them with plenty of tall cork bark and plants that they can use as anchors for their webbing and to hide behind. My avics are the most docile arboreal tarantulas that I have in my collection. They have type 2 urticating hairs, so they don't kick them at you, but they can rub those urticating hairs off onto your skin by pressing their abdomen up against you. At one time I had 2 or 3 different species of Avicularia, but all those species and locales were all reclassified as Avicularia. There are now 6 morph types, I believe. Even my Avicularia bronchalcini is now considered Avicularia. You do need to be careful when interacting with this tarantula because it is known to jump, and it will also shoot its poop as a defensive measure. But other than cleaning up white poop off the side of the enclosure, this is an awesome tarantula, and I highly suggest everyone add one to their collection if you don't have one already. This was a lot of fun. Thanks so much, Tarantula Kat, and I will see you all later.
Good morning. So there we go. This is my Avicularia metallica, and as you see, I just fed it a Turkestan roach. And well, basically this is her enclosure. Nothing too fancy. It's just, yeah, it's not even considered an arboreal enclosure because I made these enclosures, these custom-made enclosures for the terrestrials, but I had an extra enclosure, so I decided to put my Avicularia metallica in here, and she's been doing fine. She's been in here for a couple months now, and so far no issues whatsoever. As you can see, she has webbed up quite a bit over here and pretty much made this place her home. And what I think about this species is, well, I think they're really nice. I've kept this girl for I think since 2017. Yeah, I think I've got this girl since in 2017. So I've kept her for a good 4 years, I would say. Yeah, about 3.5 years to 4 years. And I got her at an adult size like this. She just recently molted about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And that is why you see I just fed her her first meal. And yeah, that's her enclosure. I know Avics, they require cross ventilation, but I just got to find out that they do fine like this if you keep the substrate dry. The reason they give cross ventilation, the reason it's recommended, is because Avics, they do require some kind of humidity, some level of humidity, and that cross ventilation will prevent the air from being too humid inside. But if you keep it dry, and the reason I keep mine dry is because over here humidity is pretty high. It gets up to about 90% humidity when it's raining, but on average days it's about 75%, I would say, to 80%, which is, I would say, perfect for these girls. Now, these enclosures may look terrestrial. Yes, I did say that they are terrestrial, but previously she was in this arboreal enclosure, this acrylic arboreal enclosure. But like I said, I had an extra enclosure, so I put her in that. But if you look at this, okay, this enclosure is about the same height as my so-called terrestrial enclosure, and it's just that this one has just a little bit of substrate and this one has a little bit more. There's my Lacidora striatopes, but essentially they are pretty much the same. It's just that that one looks like a terrestrial enclosure because it is more wide, but essentially they are pretty much still the same, I guess. And yeah, I heard these girls, these Avics, they live about 12 years as females, and I mentioned I got her around this size about 4 years ago, so I'm assuming she could be around 7 years old. Yeah, so maybe about halfway to go. I also have a few other Avics in these enclosures. Here's my Avicularia Ecuador. You can see her leg over there. And also my Avicularia species Guyana, which is way back over there. And I've had them all in these enclosures for a couple months and they've all been doing super well, so yep. Anyways, thanks for watching. That'll be it. Just a short video for Kat, and see you in the next video.
All right, so I guess it's my turn now, and this is my Avicularia. Her name is Calypso, and she was actually my 6th tarantula, so I've had her quite a long time. I've seen her through a couple different molts, and I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how to care for her, and so I'm just going to share what I've done pretty much this whole time. Now, I know that cross ventilation gets mentioned a ton, and I actually got her at a pretty decent size. I think she was about 3 inches, so when I first got her, I actually put her in this enclosure, and she's been in this enclosure ever since. Now, I have redone the enclosure a couple times, and I haven't shown you it for a while. It's been a minute. So this is her enclosure now. So what I really like about the Exoteras is that there's ventilation here at the bottom, there's ventilation at the top. You have 2 different ways to get inside. What I really like about her enclosure is that I've actually been able to get this water dish up here. This was actually given to me from Tarantula Cribs, and I've never thought to fuse the water dish up on the side of an enclosure, but it actually works out really well because she's arboreal, so it would make sense that she would want her water dish up there since she doesn't really go on the ground much at all. As you can see, she's already hiding. That's kind of what she does all the time. This is her spot to be up here. Oh, I don't know, some military thing. Probably fine, right? Greg, help me! It's too late for you! You're already in the hole! Everything's fine. Anyway, I really love this species. I think that a beginner could easily take care of one. Yeah, doing your research, you might get conflicting things, but I do find that once they get past that sling stage, they're pretty easygoing after that. So if you can just get them to like 3 inches, like, you should be golden. I know most people actually find adults in the stores, but yeah, that is just my experience, and that was everyone else's experience. I actually found it really interesting to hear everybody's different experiences or similar experiences. I'm actually really glad that we picked the Avicularia for this video just because of that. There's a lot of different conflicting or even similar things surrounding the care and the science of the species, and it's just a really good example that we're continuously learning and changing. I want to give a very special thanks to everybody who helped me with this video. Please don't forget to check them out. I will link all their channels down below. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like it if you did, subscribe if you're not, and you want to be. Don't forget I have an Instagram that I use probably way too much as Tarantula.kat. You can go follow me there. I also have a Patreon, podcast, and a Teespring. It is all linked down below. Go check it out. And don't forget to go check out the channels that helped me with today's video. And with all that said, let's get into the Patreon pet picks.